How do criminal defense attorneys defend people that they know are guilty?
We find the defendant guilty.
In the criminal defense space, we have one job, and it's defending the rights and the goals of our client. It is not our role to pass judgment on people. We do not wear the hats of a prosecutor, responsible for the interest of the community as a whole, the victims, and the justice system, and the impacts that this case will have on other cases. So when I'm asked, how can you defend guilty people? I tell you, it is my task to ensure that our client's constitutional rights are protected. It is our task to make sure that the government, who has all the power, all the resources, all the authority, is held to the task of being able to prove that our client is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. For those of you that are passionate about or familiar with the Constitution, you may recognize the fact that people are entitled to a fair and impartial jury, due process to ensure that the government can bring sufficient evidence against someone that when it is subjected to cross-examination and the test of the jury trial process, that the government has enough evidence to convict someone at trial. One of the premises of our team here at Cannon Associates is that we seek dismissal first for every client that we represent. And that falls into two general categories. One, that the facts of the case or the evidence is insufficient, that the government can literally not prove its case based on what they think they have. It's less about did they do it, but more about can the government prove it. On the other side of the equation, we have the law, that maybe law enforcement violated one of our clients' rights, or they skipped a step, or didn't execute a warrant properly, or searched someone or stopped someone in violation of that client's Fourth Amendment rights. These suppression and legal issues play an important role in the criminal defense practice and our ability to fight for people's interests. Another important thing to keep in mind is that the prosecution has all the power in the equation. They receive allegations or reports from law enforcement indicating what law enforcement thinks happened in a certain situation. Sometimes they'll speak to witnesses, but sometimes they don't have the opportunity to do that before filing charges. Prosecutors have the authority to file as many charges as they believe the facts warrant. So in many circumstances, prosecutors will file very serious allegations when they believe there's a chance they may be able to prove those allegations in court. Also, prosecutors have the authority to file 5, 10, 15, 20 counts for each separate factual event that took place in a series of events. So one of the most important things that defense attorneys do is make sure that the government is able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt every count that they allege in an information or an indictment. Sometimes prosecutors will file the most serious charge in a given category when the defense is able to show in fact that the government cannot reach its burden of proof on that charge. We previously had a client who was charged with murder in the first degree. However, through our investigation, we were able to identify that this person was not in fact guilty of murder. However, the government did have sufficient evidence to move forward on negligent homicide. We presented this information to the prosecution, and eventually our client was able to resolve their case, not with a murder charge, but with a negligent homicide, a far less serious allegation. As a defense attorney that's represented thousands of people in court, I can tell you 99% of my clients who did in fact commit some type of crime want to plead guilty or take responsibility for their actions. They just want to be treated fairly. And it's the job of the defense bar to ensure that clients are treated fairly and receive a just consequence and understand what the road forward may look like, whether that is probation or taking some time being in custody away from their family. When I'm asked, how can you defend a guilty person? I tell people that it's easy, because when you face the government has all the power, all the resources, and you need a fierce advocate to stand between you and that powerful force. We're passionate about representing people, even those that have been charged and are guilty of their offense, and making sure that their rights are protected and they receive fair treatment through the process. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel to see other content by us, and let us know in the comments what questions or thoughts you have about how can criminal defense attorneys defend the guilty.